y'all. Good evening to most of you. How are you tonight? So, we are going to talk about the child, aka Baby Yoda. So, some of you may have no idea who Baby Yoda is, or why we're calling him the child, or what the Mandalorian is, or how that plays into the whole Star Wars universe. So, I'm going to first explain that for you in sort of really layman's terms, kind of all that you need to know to start the conversation. And then I am going to move into talking about the compliance and the name. And then number 3, we're going to go over comparing sort of the price, what the size is compared to Disney's as well as the release date. And then why we're doing the pre-orders. And then we're going to go through the house, sort of like the logistics of making this thing happen. And I think all of that's going to give you all the information that you need to feel really confident to go and get lots of pre-orders for this. So hello to everybody. I know there's going to be a lot of people on the replay, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time saying hi to everybody and doing all of that stuff. I'm just going to join or just dive right in. So let's get started with the first one, and that is, what is the Mandalorian and how that all plays into the Star Wars universe. Okay. So in the Star Wars movies, in the whole series, they never mention this Mandalorians, but there was a character named Boba Fett. And this Mandalorian series is based off of that character. It's kind of a spin-off of that character. So the Mandalorian in this show, there is a featured guy, and he is the Mandalorian that we're following. He's the star of the show. He's sort of this lone bounty hunter. Now, Mandalorians as a whole race, they are all pretty much bounty hunters, okay? Their whole existence is fighting, being bounty hunters. And if you see the photos of the Mandalorian, you'll see, and I'm going to show you a video in a minute, how they all wear helmets. And that's kind of to show their singularity. They never take off their helmets, ever, ever, because it's about that they're Mandalorians, not about who they are on the inside, okay? And so that's why it's called the Mandalorian, and it's under that Star Wars universe. If you have questions as we go, please comment and I will get them, even if it's something about something else that we're going to talk about in the future, so I can make sure to get it all for you. Okay, so in the first episode of this Mandalorian series that was first aired in the fall on the new Disney Plus platform, it was a way to get people there. What happened is this Mandalorian that we're following, Mando was tasked with finding this bounty. And they said, listen, this bounty is super dangerous. This bounty, we're calling it the asset. He's 50 years old. Most everybody that's gone after him has died. So yeah, he's going to be super dangerous for you. Kitty's laying on my notes. He causes a wave of destruction wherever he goes. Nobody has been able to get him. So we want you to go after him because this Mandalorian is the best at his job. So what they do is the whole episode, it's about 35 minutes long. They're trying to find this asset. And it's not only the Mandalorian that's trying to find it, but there's other bounty hunters too. And so I'm going to show you the very last about 5 minutes, maybe it's less than that. The very last clip of the show, and it is what caused this wave of, oh my gosh, I'm in love with this new thing, okay? And what you're going to see is you're going to see the Mandalorian with the helmet on, and then you're going to see another robot with him. That's not his friend. That's just another bounty hunter that's sort of they're both going after this bounty, and this other robot he's kind of using him to help him, okay? All right, so they've got this tracker. They're both super close to this asset, and then
Anyone else?
The tracking fog is still active. My sensors indicate that there is a life form present.
Sorry about that reflection. We're gonna do this for you. Sorry.
Wait. They said 50 years old.
Species age differently.
The reflection is bad.
Many centuries. Sadly, we'll never know.
No. We'll bring it in alive.
The commission was quite specific. The asset was to be terminated.
So good, right? So the really interesting thing is that the director, Jon Favreau, he knew that he could not keep something like that under wraps if they went into merchandising. So they made the decision not to have any toys made, any merchandising made at all. So it was a complete surprise. So the very first time the whole world knew about Baby Yoda is when we watched this as soon as those were loaded into Disney Plus, and we all saw him for the first time, and obviously that's why you totally fall in love with him. He's the cutest little thing, and they call him the Child because he doesn't have a name. And the reason that we all call him Baby Yoda, just like AKA, is because he looks like a baby little version of Yoda. But he isn't, in fact, Yoda as a baby, and we don't know much about him. Yoda himself is pretty mysterious, and they did that on purpose. So that's why we say that it's the Child, because that's what Star Wars has asked us to call it, but sort of the internet, we've all dubbed him Baby Yoda. And so the Star Wars team has asked us to say that it's the Child, and then you can do in parentheses, AKA Baby Yoda, because they recognize that's what people know him as. So that's a little bit. I hope that helps you, some of you that have never heard about him. Make sure I don't have any questions here. I hope that helps you understand the whole kind of storyline in a very umbrella sort of way. So that's that. Number 2 is about compliance. So this is the same sort of compliance situation as any of our Disney products. It's as serious as it was with when we launched in the fall with like Nightmare Before Christmas. So a couple of things: you cannot alter any of the photos, the marketing imagery that you have on the workstation. So pull it from the workstation or from Firefly. If you see anything out there with text on it, you can't put your website over it. You can't Photoshop your face on it like you're holding him. I saw that one today. You can't say pre-orders available. You cannot alter the images whatsoever, and you also can't put them in collages. Now, if you add that with a photo like on Facebook, Facebook sort of automatically collages them. That's okay, but you can't collage it on your own in like a PixArt or something and then post that, okay? Also, you can never ever post that you have something for sale on any fan pages. So Star Wars, Mandalorian, Baby Yoda, Disney, no fan pages can you post this on. It is extremely critical that you follow that. When the Nightmare Before Christmas orders happened, Scentsy took orders away from consultants for doing that because it can actually jeopardize our relationship with Disney and with Star Wars. And obviously, we don't want that. Right now, we have an incredible relationship with them. Disney has said that we're one of the best partners they've ever worked with, and that's why we're getting an opportunity like this to be one of the very first that has this merchandising deal. So you might have seen that Disney has a Baby Yoda plush coming out as well that you can pre-order, but that one isn't even coming out until April either, so we're just not very far behind even Disney. And then you might see there's a price difference, so just wanted to talk to that for a moment. So Disney's Baby Yoda, you can just Google it. It looks really similar. Of course, ours have the special touches that ours have. The texture on his ears that you've seen, I could probably pull that up. The texture on his ears, the texture on his feet, the texture on his jacket even. Those are all staples of Scentsy buddies. And then, of course, we have Scentsy on the feet. On the Disney version, he doesn't have any feet. It's just the jacket that ends. So that's sort of an extra feature of ours. And his ears are a little bit more detailed. And, of course, it has the scent pack. So ours in the U.S. is $45. And I'm going to talk about that pre-order total here in just a minute, too. Have to be individual photos. What about on your storyline where you can add text? Is that no? That is fine as long as nothing touches the photo itself. Yes, nothing can touch the photo itself. If you're doing an Instagram story where you have things that can point or whatever, that's okay, but nothing can alter the actual photo, the marketing image itself. Okay, next is, the one other thing on the difference on the comparison is the Disney one in particular is 11 inches high. Ours is 14 inches high and 30, I posted it somewhere, 37.5 maybe, 32.5. Somebody can look that up and post it if you want to know it, but from ear to ear. So, but the main thing is the 14 inches high. So it's a lot bigger than the one that you're going to see like from Disney in particular. So if people ask about that. And then the scent pack is going to be a signature scent. We do not have that. So there is one, if you've gotten your World Tour bags, there is one that has one singular scent in it that I thought might be it, one tester, and it's not. So you don't have that scent yet. They're still working on developing that right now. Okay. The next thing is why we're doing pre-orders. I mean, I think most of you know, especially if you were around during Nightmare Before Christmas, but just in case you don't, this will allow us to be able to see how many that we need to make, essentially. And so they're already in production now, but if they can go to these factories that are making them and say, okay, well, we actually need this many, then they can get those produced so that we don't have a situation where we sell out of something in 5 minutes and some of you miss out on that PRV, because it's not a good experience for you. It's not a good experience for a customer, but to be able to guess those kind of things is pretty much an impossible task. And so this is going to be able to get us much closer, which is super exciting. The way that they did that was they created a new pre-ordering system within our current system. So you kind of have some options here, and this is where it gets confusing. If you haven't already, make sure you read through those FAQs, because most of your questions that you had today are really in that FAQ. So there are some extra little situations that I'm going to cover, but basically everything is there. So what a customer can do if they want to pre-order is they can do two things. They can pay $5 as the deposit that will go towards that $45, and that pre-order will guarantee that they get one if they pay for it in June when that comes down. Okay, now they can go to your website, we don't know the time, on Wednesday, and they can go to the Star Wars collection for the Mandalorian, for the Child, and they can pay for their $5 there, and that pre-orders. Now, once they go to that screen, what's going to happen is they're going to see all of the pre-order terms so that they're really clear on what's going to happen, that it's not going to come until June, that nothing's shipping right away, that this just holds it, and that they forfeit that $5 if they decide they don't want it anymore, or if they don't pay for it by July 31st. So they forfeit that. So all of that is in there. So if you choose to do something that is external from your PWS, you just need to make sure that you're sharing that information with them as well, so that you're really clear and upfront with your customers. So after they pay that $5, then what's going to happen, or during that whole process, is they have to create an account. The reason is because it helps us keep it secure. It helps us to know who they are. It helps us to be able to send them an email link that tells them how to pay for the rest of their order afterwards. So they will have to create an account. And after they create that account, they'll pay. They'll get all of those terms. They're going to get an email from Scentsy that says this is the deal, this is the terms. And then in June, around June 1st, they're going to get an email from Scentsy. This is okay. It's time. We've got the buddies ready. It's time for you to pay your balance. And you have until July 31st to pay that balance. Now, in addition to that, your website and your workstation will both be open for sales in June for the Mandalorian, for the Child, even if you didn't pre-order it. But those are going to be a much smaller availability. So it's better to pre-order theirs now, because those guarantee that they will be available for the customers. Now, one of the main questions that a lot of you have is, if you have a lot of orders coming in, so say that you have 10 orders coming in, not fragrance. It's not fragrance. Number 4, yes. I'm sorry, I'm making sure. I'm on my computer and it doesn't automatically scroll with questions. So I think what I'll do is let me go through this and then see what questions I haven't answered after that. Okay, so a lot of your questions is going to be, okay, I have bulk orders. I have 10 different customers that say they want this. What do I do at that point? My recommendation that I will personally be doing, instead of sending them, you could send them all to your website on the 11th and tell them to create an account and pay their $5, and then the Scentsy system is going to email them and do everything direct to your customer. I like to have a little bit more control over that for the customer service, but also to ensure that I'm getting the sale, because it's not ever guaranteed. If people get hung up on technology or just get busy, then the system doesn't know to message them because they got something else going on, right? So to have a little bit more control, what I'll be doing is I will be ordering, let's say the 10, I will be ordering them all together as a pre-order through my website on Wednesday. You have to have a website to do the pre-order part, okay? So I will be doing that through there. I have to pay $5 for each of those. So if I had 10, I'll pay $50. Before that, I will collect $5 from all of the people who wanted to pre-order. And that makes sure that, one, I'm not out any money, but also it helps them to have a little bit of skin in the game, so they make sure that they're not going to bail on you. So either way, it's really good to go ahead and collect that $5. Can you just Venmo to you or whatever? Once you pay for that, you're going to have your own account, so you don't have to create a lot of accounts for your customers, and it's just going to be underneath your account. Now, what happens is that in June, Scentsy will email you and say, okay, time to pay. If 8 of those customers paid you and you're ready to pay, then you can pay with the money that they Venmo'd you or whatever. But if 2 of them decided they don't want it anymore, that's okay. It doesn't hurt your other 8 orders. Scentsy will allow you to break those up so that all of those they've all been pre-ordered as one, under one card, under one address, under one account. But when it comes time to pay for them in full, you can do them all separately. So in those 10 orders example, then those 2 orders that didn't want any, I'm just going to forfeit those $5. Okay, so my customers know that. Scentsy's cool with that. I forfeited those $5. Now 2 more people can get those buddies. And for the other 8, I can say, okay, well, Sherry lives here. Here's her contact information. Here's where I need it shipped. And Scentsy will say, okay, this is what the shipping is with that, what the tax is with that. You can pay for that here. And then the next one is, okay, well, these 4 are local. And so here's what the shipping and the tax and everything looks like that to that as well. All of those at that point can be added to a party order. If you have a customer who is signed up for the pre-order on their own and is working directly with the website, then they will have the option to add it to a party as well, but it's going to be like it always is, where we just kind of have to rely on them to actually do that. So that's another reason that I kind of want to take a little bit more control and make sure that happens, because I can utilize rewards in that case where I can do that big bulk order, but I can also ship things direct if I need to, whatnot. It'll be your responsibility at that point for making sure that you're calculating your tax based on their zip code and the shipping correctly for any pre-order money that you take. Now, speaking of any pre-order money you take later on, speaking of that, it's not only OOC out of compliance to do this, but it's actually against the law to do this. You can't take money now for the full cost of the buddy, because we can't hold money that long without delivering a product. Okay, I think it's 30 days. So you will want to collect that money if you're doing them all on your own later on. So you'll want to do that maybe in May or so, maybe the last couple weeks in May. That's what I'll be doing. I personally will be utilizing, I've already created it. If you need me to give you the link so you can look at it, what it looks like, you can. I'll be utilizing a Google form that gets me all of the information that I need so that I can collect that payment. I know what the address is. I know exactly how many that they want. It has all of the terms in there so that it's all really clear to them. And it collects all the information in a spreadsheet for me. If also you need to know how to do a Google Doc, I have a live here in Firefly where you can take a look, and I'll take you step by step on how to do that. But that allows me to do that. Plus, at the very end of that form, I always ask the question, do you want to learn how to become a consultant, however I word it, 1 through 10. Are you really interested or not interested? And then the same thing with hosting. And so that just gives you one more way to be able to ask that join question now, and then ask that hosting question now. Which is great for this incentive that we're in. Now, for example, if they said, yeah, I'm really interested in joining, then the conversation you can have now is you can do this pre-order deal. Like if you know some people that will want to do it as well, sign up as a consultant, grab those pre-orders, you place your order through your own website, your pre-order through your own website, and you take advantage of this child offering. And the child offering, it sounds kind of like sacrificial. That's why it's funny every time we see the child. So, but try to train yourself to say the child, aka Baby Yoda, because that's what Star Wars has asked us to do. And we love our partnership with them, and we don't want to jeopardize that. We want to make them happy. Okay, let me answer. Yes, please, Google Forms. Sounds so amazing. Hallelujah. I have 2 people that need the control for. Okay, great. Question 4 on the PRV. You can start asking questions in the comments too, guys, and I will answer those. So when do we get PRV? So you don't get PRV for the $5 pre-order part, and that's an FTC rule. Also, the PRV from the $45 is $40 anyway, so then that just makes it easy for that $5 just to be the hold on it. And if they have to forfeit that $5 because they don't want to pay for it or whatever afterwards, then the FAQs tell it, but it's basically to help Scentsy sort of recoup the cost on storage and all that stuff. So most people understand that kind of deal. I want to pull up these other questions. Yes, please, Google form. Okay, let me pull up, make this separate, make myself really tiny. Okay, so I went through how the pre-order sales work, how big it is. The scent pack, we talked about that. Will I earn personal if I miss the pre-sale? How long do I have to purchase a buddy after making my deposit? We covered that too, but that is until July 31st. So they have a while to get that sale in, so hopefully you won't lose your sale. The pre-sale for what happens this week, the pre-sale is going to open on inventory we've designated for the promotion is no longer available. So basically, you want to act fast. I don't know how fast that's going to happen, but I know I'm going to get in my pre-orders as soon as possible. We don't know when that's going to open. We may find out later. If we do, I will let you know. Can I pre-order? If you, yes, yes, yes. I am making sure I've covered all of these FAQs. Buddies be shipped. This one, will my card be automatically charged the remaining balance if buddies is available? I covered that, but I just want to reiterate that that is a no, that Scentsy will be emailing them instructions and a direct link to purchase. If something happens and like their card is declined, then it's going to email them again, and you or they can update card information, submit again. If a consultant cancels after one of their customers places a pre-order through the PWS, then it's just going to redirect them to Scentsy.com and select a new consultant to do their purchase. When the child is available to ship and you go in to complete your purchase, yes, you can add other items to your cart and everything at once. Can I add the child to a party order when the buddy is ready to ship and I complete my purchase? Yes. And yes, once the child goes on sale in June, you can place an order through your workstation, just depending on how long those happen to be available. Okay, let's see. Any questions as I'm going along? Make sure that you're asking in the comments so that I can make sure that this video is as all-inclusive as possible. I did want to make sure that I go through any of the questions that we had on Firefly today. If you asked a question above that I haven't answered, could you repost it so I make sure to cover it? Of course, my internet's going to go really slow now that I want to go to Firefly. Let's do this. Okay. It's just how that's going to work. It's just going to go slow because I want it to go fast. The other thing that you can do, like if you don't know much about the Mandalorian or Yoda, I always say knowledge is absolute power. So if you don't know, I mean, all you got to do is go to YouTube and there's a bazillion videos that tells you like what you need to know about the Mandalorian, or just Google little photos of cute little Baby Yoda and you'll get yourself excited about it. Okay. So let's see. Questions. Oh my goodness. All right. So pre-orders, anybody that pre-orders through your website, that is going to show up in your order history. So if somebody pre-orders on Wednesday that didn't tell you they were going to, it's going to show up in your order history as a pre-order, okay? So that you aren't in the dark about anybody that's on that pre-order list. So that's really cool. And one thing to note about this is brand new technology. They were going to roll this out on Friday, but they pushed it today to do some tweaks and some things. And so there are some possibilities that some things are going to be off, that there may be like some little glitches or whatnot. But Scentsy did this for us, and so just bear with us if that is the case, though we'll figure it out. And the best thing to do is on Wednesday, we'll have a thread, and you can share that in the thread, because what I can do is I can take any concern that I can't answer an issue, and I can bring it up to the Superstar Director page, and that goes directly into the IT team. So it's like we're kind of those field representatives that can take all of this information and dial it down and then get it to the IT people that need it. And so that's the best thing you can do, or you can contact customer service if you have any issues. Okay. Can we share this info with our customers? Absolutely. It's your business, so you can always share anything that I post anywhere at any time that you want to. But this one in particular, because the pre-orders open on Wednesday, they say through the 18th, but they also say while inventory that they allotted lasts. So that means that it could sell out. So I don't know if that means that it's going to sell out as fast as other things will sell out, or what that means exactly. So my shirt's crooked, but because of like mirror image, I can't ever get it right. So I keep just pulling down the other wrong side. Okay. Yes, it is all regions for that question. And yes, post about it now because you want to get those pre-orders in. If you don't get the pre-order in, assuming that it stays open for the week, then you won't be able to pre-order until, or do anything until June when it's actually on sale. So you want to do it now. And if you have somebody wanting to join, then it's a really good way to sort of create that sense of urgency to get them to join, because they want to get in any pre-orders that their friends might have. Okay, period counted. I'm going through the Firefly questions on that feed and making sure I have everything answered for you here. Somebody's asking what's the best way to advertise it and how to word it. It's going to be up to you, but I think the best thing to do is sort of tease it a little instead of giving all the information all at once. You want people to ask you questions. You don't want to give them all the answers in the post, because you want them to ask questions because, one, you know who's interested that way. Two, it helps your Facebook algorithms when people are commenting on stuff. And so something simple like, oh my gosh, I'm so freaking excited about The Child, aka Baby Yoda, coming out. Who else loves this little guy? You know, whatever it is, and start getting people to ask you questions. And so that's the best way to do that. And then you kind of have to figure out what your plan of attack is. If you're going to do what I do and create a Google form that collects the information, and then you'll be putting in that bulk pre-order on Wednesday, then you want to have all of those assets ready to go, so that once you post that post, you can post that Google form link in the comments, that you can get it posted on your VIP page, etc. That's the other thing, is I've seen some people say like, oh, I don't have any orders whatsoever. If you just post on Facebook one time, you might not have a lot of orders. I have a lot of orders, but it's not because I posted on Facebook one time. I posted on my VIP, I posted on Facebook, I posted on Instagram. I haven't actually posted on Instagram yet. I will post on Instagram. And then I'm following up with every single person that bought anything Star Wars from me for the last collection. And I am following up with anybody that I had on my list for Star Wars from the last time. I also created a whole Facebook group around my Star Wars collection the last time and did some advertising there. So I'm going to be following with all those people too. So if you are feeling like you're getting discouraged because you see other people that's getting all these like mass orders really quickly, don't get discouraged. You just don't know what they might be doing on the back end. They may have done Google Forms and emails and following up, and they may have done stuff before the other Star Wars collection that is now rolling over to this one, like me. Or you may have some that are just huge Star Wars fanatics already, and they already have sort of that tribe that loves it as well. So just a little side note on the marketing part of it. It's a full length voice. When we place our pre-orders, will It only asks for one address. We enter the addresses once we pay the full order. I answered that a little bit earlier, but just to reiterate, yes, whenever you pay the pre-order, you'll put in one address. When you go to pay the full order later on in June, then you can put separate addresses for those. All right, any other questions? Will I be able to watch this live on replay? Yes. Yes. Most of what I'm saying, Michelle, is directly from our FAQs. So I know it's a lot of information, and it's a lot of information because I'm giving you a lot of backgrounds of why we're doing stuff to hopefully like make this like puzzle make sense and not like it's this whole brand new thing. Really, it's not too much of a difference from where we've been. Speaking of that, somebody asked the question about if PayPal would be available to pay. Yes, because it's still within our same system. So it's not like we've got a whole new thing over here. It's just one addition to it. So you can still pay the way that you would normally pay for anything else. What are Google Forms? That is just a way that you can collect information from your customers, and it helps me to be able to organize the information and to collect the information. So if somebody says, hey girl, yes, I want one, instead of me saying, okay, cool, what's your first name, your last name, what's your email address, because I'm going to have to put that in eventually, what's your address, and then also like how many of those do you want, and do you are you interested in hosting? Are you interested in joining? Instead of doing that like back and forth, it allows you to be able to have a system to easily get that form and let the form do that work for you. Anyone who joins in March, do they have to finish that 15 days to earn the other kit before end of March? No. What if they join at the end of the month? As long as they join, this is a separate thing. As long as you join, your new recruit joins in March, they are eligible for that promotion. So if they join, is there 31 days? Yeah. If they join on March 31st, then they have until April, whatever the April 14th to get in their shooting star. And so yeah, I think that answers that question. I'm driving, so I haven't checked, but is there a time release for pre-orders? No, there is not one yet. There is not a time release so far, and we have asked that question a few times on the SSD page, and it has not been replied to. So they either aren't letting us know, and that could be very well what they're doing, because we tend to crash systems and go a little nutso, and so they might do that so that it is spread out a little bit, but we'll see. They might post that in the next day or so. What else? Any other questions? It looks like basically you're all still on here that started with me, so if there's anything I haven't covered or anything I need to reiterate, something that you missed at the beginning, let me know. In this we covered who the Mandalorian was, what the child is, why we call him Baby Yoda, compliance stuff, the comparison, and why the price it is, because it is on the higher end of price, but we covered why that is. We covered why we did pre-orders, how you do it, and some Q&A. All right, I hope there's a time. I can't stay up all night. Thank you. Okay, let's replay. All right, it looks like we might be getting to the end of the questions. Let me make sure. Oh, I think, let's see. Time. And answered that one. So we said we have 10 people. I answered that one. Answered that. I answered this, but we didn't receive the scent in the LTO fragrances received at World Tour. I thought it was going to be number 4, but it is not. And yes, we can add it to a party. We don't do that during pre-orders. We do that in June during the actual order of the full thing. And again, the other question was, we can't have them pay for them up front right now because it's actually illegal to hold their money for that long. So that also makes it OOC. Pre-orders will show up in your order history, compliance. Okay, I think that's about everything, guys. Great information. You're welcome. You're welcome. Scent pack for baby. Yes, there will be an exclusive scent for Get in the Habit, aka the child, aka Baby Yoda. There will be an exclusive scent pack, but we don't know what the name of it is. Probably just the child or the Mandalorian. We don't know the name of it for it. It says it's still being worked on. So I know that we can't possibly know all of the steps that Scentsy has to go through when developing anything, but I do know that they work really, really closely with Star Wars on every single word, on our verbiage and our marketing pieces, and the scents too. So they go back and forth. So Star Wars has to look at and smell the scent and say, yes, that's what we think that the Mandalorian or the child, like that's a good representation of it. And so they may still be in those conversations, which is pretty super cool, right? I'm just going to imagine like George Lucas just like hanging out there with like, Heidi and Orville and Chuck and Mark and just like smelling some scents. That's just what I'm going to do in my head. Don't go spreading that. He's not George Lucas. Is not home office doing that. Heather says, so we don't tell them how much the shipping, only charge them. Yes, so only charge them $5 right now. They may have the question like in June, how much is my shipping going to be? And at that point, you just have to figure that out. So, we'll just, if it's just the buddy, then you're only going to be charging them $8. If they get more stuff, then it might be more than that. So you can kind of give them a guesstimate of what it's going to be in June. But right now, we only charge them the $5. Oh, and then who was excited? So, anytime we make a buddy, we make the like huge life size ones that go at home office and some of our warehouses. So who's excited to see a huge like Baby Yoda? Because he'll be like as big as the small behind me. And I'm going to home office for Superstar Director Summit in April, in the end of April. So maybe he'll be there. He'll be there. I'll be excited if he is. All right. Well, I think I covered everything. Are you sure you don't have anything else? I hope this was helpful to you guys. And if you do have any other questions, feel free to add them here or in that other long thread. And if you have questions, try to keep them in one of these threads so that we make sure that if you have the question, other people do. So we make sure that it all stays in one place. And you might have to tag me in some of these really long ones. It might say that I've like had a tag or something, but I might not can find or see it, or might not see a notification. So just make sure that you tag me in it. All right. His ears are going to be big. Yes. I love the texture on it. It makes it so Scentsy. You cannot not tell that it's Scentsy. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. I hope you have a great night. Tomorrow, we'll be back on Zoom for our Camp Firefly chat. So we will see you back then. And, I just came from Texas. I have a very Texas accent. It'll take me a couple of days to get rid of that Dallas drawl. I hope you have a good one. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.